Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Your Mark on the World show. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe. I'm a Forbes contributor covering social entrepreneurship and impact investing. And our guest today is Leslie Heyer. She is the president and founder of Cycle Technologies. Leslie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Leslie, you're working on something really novel and exciting, and it's just really profoundly important on many levels. And so I'm not sure about the best way to come at it, but first, why don't we start with the basics? Tell us what it is that you're doing with the new Dot app.
Sure. Well, let me tell you, Cycle Technologies is really committed to preventing unplanned pregnancies and helping people have the families they want when they're ready. So we create technologies and tools that do just that. And the Dot app is really our latest technology. It's a new method that allows a woman to prevent or plan pregnancy by simply tracking her period start dates. It actually provides a woman with information about her pregnancy risks for each day of her cycle based on her own unique cycle data.
It seems like it would really be a powerful tool, especially for those who either choose not to use other forms of birth control or don't have access to them for whatever reason. But there are, hundreds of millions of people in the world who are in that situation, right?
Actually, there are over 220 million women around the world who have unmet contraceptive need. And unmet contraceptive need is really, it's about women having access to contraceptive options that will work for them. So what we've really been focused on is developing technologies, and in the case of Dot, focused on developing a technology that addresses the number one reason that women cite for not using contraception, and that is concerns about side effects and just general health concerns. So providing women with a way to prevent pregnancy naturally, where they don't have to worry about any additional side effects, is extremely appealing to a lot of women who have unmet contraceptive need. But additionally, being able to access a contraceptive option entirely through your mobile device is also really helping to expand access. It helps to kind of circumvent a lot of the barriers to that are in place around traditional contraception. So it really sort of gives women access to something through a technology that they're already using.
Yeah. Now, I hate to put too fine a point on this, but it seems to me that this is a powerful tool for women who are in a religion where there is a prohibition on using artificial birth control. And this seems like a pretty optimal tool to help them plan their pregnancies. What's your experience with dialogue with women in that community?
So what we have found is that certainly fertility awareness methods and simple methods for somebody to use can be appealing in a wide range of contexts. Certainly there may be communities where using a natural method is particularly attractive. But when we've asked people why they're using Dot or why they're using another product we have called CycleBeads, the answers across the board, the number one reason has been health concerns and side effects. Religion or their faith has never actually come up as a reason that people give for wanting to use a method like this. So certainly there are certain contexts where it may be even more appealing, but women from the US, women all over the world are using these methods.
Now, your beads got a lot of attention years ago. I remember reading about them, but remind us what they are and how they're used.
Sure, it's really where Cycle Technologies, where we got our start. It is a visual tool. It's a color-coded string of beads that allows a woman to track her cycle and know when she's on a day where pregnancy is possible or not. And it's been used widely through health programs, ministries of health, NGOs all over the world. It really was the first sort of widely used fertility awareness method, where again, it was designed to be very simple to use. And highly effective. And it underwent a full-scale efficacy study as the method itself. But what we've done with Dot is to kind of move that forward. We knew from using CycleBeads that this type of a method where you're just using period tracking was really attractive. But given the access to mobile phones, cell phones, et cetera, we wanted to see, could we do more? And so we went back to the drawing board and asked statisticians, data scientists to take a look at this issue again and help us come up with how would you approach this problem today? And really DOT evolved then from our success with CycleBeads into sort of bringing it into the 21st century, if you will.
And you're also undertaking a study. You mentioned that you had done that with the beads. Now you're undertaking a study with DOT. Tell us about that study.
Yeah, so we are working with researchers at the Institute for Reproductive Health at Georgetown University to do the first ever contraceptive efficacy study on a fertility app. So the study is really designed to understand how the DOT app works as a contraceptive method. And it's really holding it to the same standards that we hold other contraceptive methods so that you can compare how effective using this method is compared to using the pill or an IUD or the condom. So we are working with them. It's currently in the early stage in that we are recruiting people into the study, or I should say they are recruiting people into the study. And the plan is to track 1,200 women over 13 cycles. So doing a prospective efficacy study.
That's really amazing work. Now, who's going to pay for that study?
Good question. So the researchers are receiving funding from USAID to do this. We're actually conducting the study here in the US, but it has such broad applications for elsewhere in the world as well that USAID was really excited about it.
Oh, fantastic. It seems like the app should work, proving that it is actually efficacious in terms of I think what you're trying to measure is pregnancies that result, right, against a control group, I imagine.
Actually, so the way it works is we're really trying to measure both perfect use efficacy and typical use efficacy. So in a perfect world, when someone uses the method correctly, you have that information. And we actually have that information from sort of the computer modeling that went into designing the method in the first place. But what you want to see then is in the real world where people are making decisions, taking the information you're giving them and choosing to use it one way or another, possibly using additional methods as backup methods or during their fertile days, et cetera. You want to see what's happening in the real world. So you want to be able to tell people it's this effective in perfect use and it's this effective in typical use.
Yeah, that's great. And what is your expectation? Maybe let's compare with the beads. Mm-hmm. Assuming it's as effective as the beads, how many pregnancies do you think might be avoided by virtue of the new DOT app?
So when we looked at the theoretical efficacy, we could say it could be anywhere from 97 to 99% effective in perfect use. So, you know, certainly typical use is always a little bit less than that because people don't behave quite as you might hope all the time. But in perfect use, it would be between 97 and 99% effective.
And how many women are using the app today?
Wow, so today we have active users, I believe it's around 30,000 active users as of today.
How much do you charge for the app?
Oh, I forgot to mention that. It's actually free. It's free to use. There is an opportunity if somebody wants to upgrade to support our work to do so, and they get some additional features, but it is free to use. We want to make contraception available to women everywhere that is accessible, that's free, and that works.
What languages does it operate in today?
So today, DOT is only available in English. We will certainly be looking to update that really quickly in the near future. But I think as we get a little bit closer to the end of the efficacy study, one of the other things we're learning during this study is a lot about the user behavior and a little bit more about what is really working for people and maybe what's not. So we want to be able to make those changes as much as we can before we translate it into a whole bunch of other languages.
With the beads, were you able to measure how many unwanted pregnancies were avoided?
Yeah. Well, so we are still making CycleBeads available, and it's also available as an app as well, which is being used widely on top of that. We have distributed it, though, to over 6 million women have used that method. We estimate over 5.5 million unplanned pregnancies prevented, and a little over 1.5 million pregnancies planned or achieved using that method.
That's greght. That's
We know
tremendous. Nothing is perhaps more tragic than an unwanted pregnancy.
You know, an unplanned pregnancy has huge implications, not just for the woman who has one, but for her family and for her community. When you have an unplanned pregnancy, there are incredibly poor health outcomes, both for the mother and the child. Reduced education levels. For the mother, it effectively ends her education. It reduces the education that all of her children are likely to get. It's really associated with just a host of other issues. It puts people in poverty, it keeps people in poverty. So to the extent that we can reduce unplanned pregnancies around the world, will really improve so many other aspects of our lives.
And as long as we're talking about challenging issues, when you avoid an unplanned pregnancy, you also avoid an abortion, right?
Absolutely. I think it's about half of unplanned pregnancies end in abortion. And obviously, in many countries, it's an unsafe procedure. So it really can have some terrible implications on health outcomes.
Yeah. Well, Leslie, we really are so grateful for the work that you're doing there. I do want to just tap into your social entrepreneur psyche just a little bit and ask you a couple of questions to help inspire the social entrepreneurs who will be watching this today. First, you're a remarkable woman that people really admire and look up to, but who do you in turn look up to and admire as a role model?
Wow, that's a very interesting question. You know, I just think that there are a lot of people working in this space that are particularly aspirational. I mean, certainly there are the Melinda Gates of the world who are doing great things and are really putting their money where their mouth is, let's just say, and are super committed and passionate. I mean, that is absolutely somebody to look up to. But I think some of the on the ground people are really the people doing the work, the day to day, are the people who are really inspiring. When you see firsthand those people who are committed to women's health and are really trying to get women the sort of a full range of options and meet their needs, really listening to them, those are the people that are really inspiring.
You could be doing anything, bright, capable person that you are. Why have you chosen this as a project?
You know, I think when I really started to understand the scope and the potential impact that this kind of work had, it was really inspiring. And there's something about working as a social impact company and having sort of a social mission that really drives you, and it makes it worthwhile. It doesn't matter, you know, you can make a lot more money doing other things potentially, but when you really feel like you're making a difference, it means everything.
Fantastic. Now, one last question for you, Leslie. What is your superpower?
Oh, wow. I have no idea. Let me think about this. Maybe it's to answer really hard questions on the fly. I think that's a superpower right there.
Well, good. Leslie, thank you very much for taking the time to be with us today. Before you go, tell us how people can learn more about the app, how they can get the app, how they can learn more about Cycle Technologies, and how people can connect with you personally.
Sure. Well, they can certainly visit our company website, which is cycletechnologies.com, or they can go to the .app website, which is .theapp.com. They can also find it in both iPhone and Android stores. So in terms of that, and in terms of contacting me, I'm on Twitter at Leslie_Hire, and or if they go to the website, they'll see my phone number, email. They can find me that way.
Fantastic. Well, Leslie, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. We wish you every success in your efforts to help women plan their pregnancies.
Thank you.
All righty, let's do some good.